I made over 120 purchases on Amazon alone this year, and I'm gonna go over my favorites starting from everyday essentials over here and make our way up to the more pro level stuff over here. And the first one is this really handy portable tire inflator which lets me fill my car tires from anywhere. It has a screen so you can adjust the exact PSI level that you want to fill your tires to. And all it takes is a couple of minutes. Compare that to having to go to the gas station and potentially waiting in line or finding it out of order. It's battery powered and a full charge fills all 4 of my tires twice. And because it's chargeable via USB-C, I never have to worry about it because it's always in my car plugged in. It also comes with all these different nozzles to use depending on what it is you want to fill. Because this isn't just for car tires, it also works for bicycles, basketballs, really anything that needs air. The amount of hours this thing already saved me for just $40 is insane. It also has other features like a flashlight and being able to use it as a battery bank. I don't see myself using it for that, but it's always nice to have. Alright, so next up we have a label maker by Dymo. And as the name says, it's just a quick way to print a label. And I use this to label stuff around my office and my studio. So if I have a box or a drawer full of USB-C cables, I can just come here and type USB-C cables. And then I can just print this. And now I have a USB-C cables label. This isn't the cheapest label maker at around $50, but I found it to be a good compromise between a commercial level label maker and one of the cheaper ones that you find online. Alright, so laptop stands are cool and all, but most of them are so bulky that I would never even consider bringing one around. So when I saw this one here by Moth that gets permanently attached to my MacBook, adds virtually zero weight and extra bulkiness, it was an instant buy for me. And when you look at it, you wouldn't think it's sturdy, but it's honestly as sturdy if not more than this massive one I have over here. And when you're not using it, you don't even notice that it's there. It's why it's called the invisible laptop stand. It's one less thing to remember because it's always attached to the laptop. It also apparently leaves no residue on the surface if you remove it. I've never tried it, but people that have seem to agree. And this has been around for 4 years, so I'm actually pretty late on this one, or I wouldn't have bought this one here and all the others that I now have collecting dust. Next we have this tiny little accessory from Belkin that lets me use my iPhone as a webcam. It connects via MagSafe and it takes less than 5 seconds to set up. This works with any phone from the past 5 years and it's pretty much the easiest and cheapest way to upgrade your webcam. Even if you have the new MacBook Pros with a 1080p camera, the camera on your phone is still much better. It also comes with a phone grip so you can use it if you leave it on your phone, but I have a MagSafe wallet there which I'll get to in a second. I leave it in my laptop case so I always bring it around with me and I constantly get people asking if I'm using a DSLR camera in my Zoom calls. This also opens up the door to all the cool features of continuity camera like portrait mode and even desk view. Honestly, for about $30 this is a massive upgrade. I can't wait until we no longer have a need for a wallet at all, but I still need to carry stuff like my ID and my driver's license around. And the best MagSafe wallet I've found is this one here by ESR. It can easily carry 3 cards or 4 if you don't mind them being a little tight. It also has a built-in phone grip that's wide and very comfortable. This is perfect for every time I'm going out and I don't want to bring my big wallet with me. There's a version of this wallet that has Find My built into it, but then not only is it double the price, but also heavier as it needs a battery. This one can be had for about $20 and it's much better than the much more expensive ones I've tried. Alright, so this next one is not really tech per se, it's more like tech in the form of art. This is the iPhone 4S artwork by Grid Studio. You might have seen these around on YouTube and they're really cool. They use real iPhone parts and display them in this cool retro way that I think looks really nice. And if this particular model is not your style, there's a bunch of other stuff, and not just iPhones either. They have old consoles and some Androids as well. This is also really good for the environment as all of these items here are no longer in working condition and would instead be dumped in a landfill. Alright, so you know how absurdly overpriced max storage is, and most of us end up getting an external SSD like this one here. But the problem with those is that they're nowhere near as fast as the internal storage on any modern Mac. But with this here, that's no longer the case. This is an NVMe SSD enclosure that connects via Thunderbolt, which is 2 to 3 times faster than USB-C. And you can put any NVMe SSD inside, which is not only much faster than these here, but also much cheaper, especially when you take into account larger storage sizes. This is a little pricier than a USB-C enclosure like this one I have right here, because this one connects via Thunderbolt, whereas this one here connects via USB-C. Getting something like this is a little bit of a waste as the NVMe drives inside will be bottlenecked by the USB-C connection. So this here is not only much faster than a typical Samsung T5 or T7, can support much higher capacities, and is actually cheaper in the long run as this will likely last for many years, and if you want to get a bigger drive, you can buy cheaper NVMe's and swap them out. Alright, so if you work with camera gear, you know the pain of having to manually remove and insert different gear in different mounts. I don't even do it every day and it was still a massive pain. So I got these here, and my only regret is not having bought them sooner. These are the Ulanzi Falcom quick release systems. And there's two different release systems here. This one is the F22. This is meant for lighter gear like lights, monitors, stuff like that. And then these here are the F38, which is more for cameras and tripods. And now I can seamlessly move my gear around. It's really well built, it's super secure, and is compatible with pretty much anything. I was a little skeptical of this, so initially I just bought 2 or 3 pieces so I can properly test them, and now they're on everything that I have. If you're someone that constantly switches cameras and accessories around, you're gonna love this. This is so useful when I'm shooting B-roll and moving my cameras and gear all the time. Highly recommend it. Alright, so if I had to choose one item on this list that made my life the easiest, it would have to be the Sony XLR K3M. What this thing does is that it lets you connect XLR mics straight to the camera. That way, not only do I not need an external recorder, but the audio is automatically synced for me. It's hard to overstate the amount of friction this reduces from making videos. It doesn't have a cable, doesn't have a battery, nor an SD card. It even has phantom power, and it attaches onto the multi-interface hot shoe and just runs completely off of it. It lets you connect a total of 3 mics to it, 2 XLR mics and one with the standard 3.5mm jack. It also comes with a great mic, but I prefer to use my Shure SM7B, so I just use that one as a backup. If you have just about any Sony camera and you can afford something like this, it's a great thing to have. It isn't cheap though, at around $600, but if you're a content creator, you know the value of something like this. Not having to worry about an external audio recorder, batteries, and syncing is such a time saver. I bought this in January, so it's been almost a year since I've had it, and yeah, I can confidently recommend this, and for me, it's paid for itself multiple times over. And then we have this thing here, which is called the Tourbox Elite. This is basically an interface to use creative programs like Photoshop, Final Cut, Premiere, etc. You can assign all these different actions to different keys, and it serves essentially as a keyboard replacement. I was very hesitant to buy this. It felt sort of gimmicky to me, and I didn't see myself using it. I gave it a try thinking worst comes to worst I'll just return it, and a couple months later my only regret is not having bought it the moment it came out. It's that good. It comes with a bunch of presets for a bunch of different apps, which is a great starting point, but I only use this for photo and video editing, and I know exactly what keys I always use, so I just mapped mine from scratch. And every time you switch apps, it automatically switches your presets for that specific app. It also works via Bluetooth, so you don't need to add an extra cable to your desk, and it works both on Mac and PC. If you're a creator, this really is for you. It massively sped up my workflow and essentially paid for itself just after I edited a few videos. Alright, so I have here some honorable mentions that almost made the list, but first I want to give a quick shout out to today's sponsor, Brilliant.org. Brilliant is the best way to learn math, data science, and computer science interactively. The best way to learn something is to do it, which is why Brilliant offers hands-on learning experiences and shows real-world examples. This helps you understand hard subjects like maths and sciences instead of just memorizing theories. It doesn't matter if you're advanced or you're just starting out, because Brilliant customizes the content to fit your needs and lets you learn through it at your own pace. And if you get stuck, there are helpful hints and step-by-step solutions to get you back on track. One of the best courses I took this year in Brilliant was how LLMs work. And if you're as interested in AI as I am, then you're gonna love it too. And this is just one of the many courses that Brilliant adds every single month. There's always something new to learn. To try everything Brilliant has to offer free for a full 30 days, visit brilliant.org/FromSergio, and the first 200 people who sign up will get 20% off Brilliant's annual premium subscription. And a big thank you to Brilliant for sponsoring today's video. And I can't not mention the Apple Watch Ultra 2. My Series 5 crapped out on me a few months ago, and I was initially going to get the Series 9, but I wanted to add cellular and a stainless steel body. And when you add those two things to the Series 9, you're getting really close to the price of the Ultra. Plus, the Ultra has other advantages, of course, like a bigger and brighter screen, longer battery life, and the action button. So it just made more sense for me to get the Ultra. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with this one, but I will say though that the Ultra 2 is pretty similar to the Ultra 1. So if you want an Apple Watch Ultra and find the first generation for cheaper, then I say just go for that one. The main difference is that this one gets brighter and has a little tap gesture, which to be honest, I don't really use. Other than that, it's mostly a spec bump. Then we have this smart jump rope. I like jumping rope. Wait, scratch that. I like the effects and results I get from jumping rope. I kinda hate doing it to be honest, but 10 minutes of jumping rope feels like a 30-minute jog in terms of cardio. And it's easier to convince myself to jump for 10 minutes than it is to jog for 30. And before this, I was just using a regular jump rope, which is fine of course, but I like to keep track of my progress, so every time I would stop and I would write down how many jumps I had, and then at the end, I would tally all of those up and see how many I did in the session. But with this thing here, it does all of that for me, and it's obviously much better built than my old one. And if you're wondering what this here is, this is a magnetic cable tie, and I have a bunch of them here. My whole life, I've been using zip ties to cable manage, but every time I want to switch or add something, I have to cut those zip ties and take out a new one. But with these here, I have a ton of flexibility and they're meant to be really durable. Not to mention they're so long that I can actually wrap them around pretty much anything like desk legs, monitor arms, tripods, etc. And because the head is magnetic, it attaches itself and also to most things around my house. Alright, so sometimes I want to bring my actual wallet instead of the MagSafe one. And in the past, I used an AirTag on my wallet, but it had so much extra bulk, and I wish Apple had either a card version or a slightly smaller AirTag. But since that doesn't exist, I got this here by Chipolo. I've had it for 6 months now and it's been holding up. But there's two big drawbacks here, and that's why it's in the honorable mentions. The first is that there's obviously no battery, so once it dies, it dies. And this sucks, especially from an environmental standpoint, as you're buying something that is literally made to be tossed out. The other disadvantage is that there's no integration with Apple's Find My app. There is, however, a version of this exact card that does integrate with Apple's Find My app, but I actually chose this version as a lot of people said that one didn't work too well. And honestly, I expected this, because the way Apple does things, you only get the full functionality of the Find My app, like precision tracking, if you use an Apple product with it. Apple doesn't just open that up to third parties. Either way, I've had this for about 6 months now, and I've only had to use the Chipolo app to find my wallet maybe a handful of times, so it's not really a big deal. Even after all of that, I'm still happy with this purchase and it deserves an honorable mention. Lastly, we have this tech pouch right here. This is made by Initech and it costs less than $30. It works really well and has an origami shape, so it's very compact but expands really nicely, and I fit everything I need in here. I always see people recommending these tech pouches that cost double, sometimes triple the amount of this one. And sure, they might be made of slightly better materials, but this one feels great to me. Maybe it's just me, but I'm not looking to spend close to $100 on a bag that will just carry chargers and cables. But nothing in this list compares to my favorite tech purchase ever, my NAS, which is way more than just storage. I made a full video on it that you can check right here. So I'll see you there.